Well, good afternoon. Hey, I'm feeling much better. If you saw the video from yesterday, I was really feeling under the weather, but anyway, I did make some progress regardless, and those videos will be up soon. Well, by the time this video is up, those should already be up, but basically it's covering the Zobel networks and continuing to fine-tune these DIY Jensen CS315 speakers that I'm working on. Coincidentally, I just got back from picking up a set of old cheap RCA 12-inch three-way speakers. That's going to be a project for me down the road. Really cool guy that I picked him up from, a bunch of DIY stuff he's got set up, so tube amps and everything. Really impressive. I'll have to show you a picture of that soon. But anyway, getting back to this, we've got a mess going on here, and let me just kind of show you. The light's not real great in here. It's a little bit, weather outside is a little bit dark and dreary, but essentially what we've got going on after my frequency sweeps and running Zobel networks. So what I discovered, and this is just kind of a summary of the videos that will soon be posted, but basically this Jensen driver, this Jensen woofer, happens to have a really nice response. It does. And with the addition of a Zobel network, it got it even flatter. I mean, for an old cheap woofer, I cannot believe how flat this thing is. That being said, I'd also tried a Zobel network in the mid-range. Didn't make a whole lot of difference, so I pulled that out. And my tweeter, which, as I know I've mentioned before, the tweeter I wanted to use in this project is this phenolic ring tweeter, which is still in that cabinet. And it's a nice little tweeter. It's just a little bit, the sensitivity is a little bit high, so it raises everything up on the top end. Now, I do plan on, I'll show you in a minute here what I got on top of the speaker, but I'm thinking about trying to just attenuate it a little bit with a resistor and put a Zobel network on this just to see how it might change that. But right now, what I'm really concerned about is the bass. So, I mean, bass, your cabinet is designed around your woofer. No two ways about it. And the bass driver that's the foundation of your full range loudspeaker system, obviously. So getting that right it's mandatory. Now these speakers here right now, I feel like I'm definitely on the right path. These things are almost running a plus minus 10 dB in open area here, from like 3 feet away and even up close. So incredibly flat, and they actually still sound pretty good. So yeah, and I actually changed up the port a little bit in here too. And I'm going to show you what I did with the port because I want to try to adopt the same change with this one. Now, the big problem that I'm having is that the original Jensen woofer, while it measures good, sounds decent, and is in perfectly good shape, to be honest with you, it does not have the same clarity or the transient response, I suppose you'd call it, of this much bigger Dayton Series 2 that was actually, I think, according to Parts Express, these were an Eminence speaker. Eminence made these for Dayton on Dayton's design principles. So they gave them the recipe, and Eminence made the driver. So essentially, it's more like a pro style driver with the hi-fi cone and surround. So it's a really heavy duty speaker, but it's clean, it's clear. The only problem I'm having with it is that the efficiency of this speaker compared to this speaker in these cabinets is off. So in the very beginning, those first few videos I shot, I explained that this is rated at roughly, I think advertised something like 91 dB per 1 watt. The mid-range was rated at about 89 dB per 1 watt. And then the tweeter was rated at about 90 dB per 1 watt. And they're all 8 ohm speakers. So in theory, it should have just worked out fine. But for some reason, it's a little bit, the decibel level of the bass region is lower than the mid-range, and the mid-range is lower than the tweeter. So the frequency range on this speaker is kind of like a diagonal. So it looks, fairly decent in terms of frequency response, but it's kind of like that, from low to high. It is very clear though, and I'm at a point where I'm not even sure if I'm going to use these woofers in this design, but the battle within myself is that's actually the reason I bought these cabinets, was to install these old woofers that I had. So I'd like to try to make them work. Now, to do that though, I've got to somehow try to increase the sensitivity of them. And increasing sensitivity of a speaker that's not easy to do, especially when you're trying to keep up with a hot mid-range and a hot tweeter, right? So I've got a few ideas in mind. One of them is the fact that, for starters, a 1 3/4 port. This was the stock port, 1 3/4 ID by 1 inch deep, which happens to sound the best so far with this woofer. Really is too small, much too small. This should be the equivalent. So this is roughly a 3.3 cubic foot box. I put bracing inside, gussets, chamber, etc. It's probably down in the 3 to 3 1/4 foot range right now. And really, for this speaker in a vented cabinet, they recommend like 4 cubic feet. So it's a little bit shy of that. But at any rate, this is a 3.5 inch by 8 inch port. There's my measuring tape, by golly. Yeah, so it's a 3.5 inch ID, but it is flared, which kind of, I'm not even sure the math on it. The math is tricky when you get with flared ports. So I honestly, I'm just more of a trial and error kind of guy. So I'm gonna just try, and I might put this in there. I'm hesitant to though, because I hate to make that hole bigger. But I also did get a precision port set that's also got flared ends, which is, that might be snake oil, I'm not sure, but it's supposed to reduce wind noise. And this is a 2 inch ID tube. Now what I did on this speaker here is, this driver happened to be working really well with the 1 3/4 by 4 inch. Reason it did better than it did with the stock 1 inch, I think, is because I reduced the cabinet size a little bit. And so what I did on the inside there is basically I just went from the inside. So I had this guy in there, and then I shoved this over the back. Kind of like so. Okay, so what I wind up with is a port that looks like this. So instead of a 1 3/4 ID port, it has got a 2 inch ID that goes down to the 1 3/4 for a very short span. And this port is roughly 7 inches long. So it's just about right for this cabinet. Leaves about 3 inches behind it. All right, so what I was thinking about doing, trying to increase bass response out of this guy, is with this woofer, I'm a little bit torn. I like all the padding and insulation I have in here, but it might be too much. And I know that it's a kind of a hot topic about stuffing polyfill, creating more volume inside a box, more apparent volume for the speaker. So could I fill up this box with polyfill and make it seem like a 4 cubic foot box? I don't know. I don't think so. And I've seen kind of, actually just today I watched a couple of YouTube videos where essentially they did show that, you know, stuffing a box, primarily subwoofers, with the polyfill, it can increase the low end bass, and the roll off of that low end bass can increase a little bit. But what it has a tendency to do is knock down the output across the rest of it, which is really more important. From, you know, 40 hertz up is where you really want this thing to have some power to it. You know, the subsonic stuff, say 30 hertz and below, it's really less critical. 30 hertz, you can still hear it, but by the time you get to 25, 20 hertz, it's just a feeling, right? And these already have that. Like these reach way down low. What I need to do is get the higher frequencies that this woofer creates up a little bit. The crossover is an 800 hertz crossover. This woofer should have a usable frequency response of up to 1,000. And the crossover is just rolling off at 6 dB on the woofer. So I really don't understand why it's not louder. I'm gonna try to figure that out. Now, one other thing I found about this woofer is that I had experimented with a Zobel network on this woofer, and it really helped. And essentially what a Zobel network does, we've got a capacitor value in series with a resistor value that crosses the bridge. Okay, so you're gonna still have your positive and negative from your amp, from the crossover, but to equalize the resistive impedance of this huge coil in here, this 2.5 inch coil, we've got this set up on here. So according to the parameters of this woofer, I should be good on this. And I did test it without this second cap on there. I tested it just with this 80 microfarad and an 8 ohm resistor, and it did clean it up, especially up above 200. Now I've added, this actually called for another 4 on there on top of it, so 84 microfarads. So I've got that set up and ready to go. So today, where do we begin? Well, I think since the stuffing is already in the box, the first thing I'm going to try to do is see if it makes a difference putting a longer port in. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but a smaller box than is recommended. I could feasibly take this tuning frequency, which would be say 40 hertz with this, and about 35 hertz with this one, and probably get right in the same range, maybe about maybe 30 hertz with this one. And I just want to see what it sounds like, see if it makes a difference, if it does create a little more sound pressure level. First things first though, we need to graph it, find out where we're at. So that's going to be the next thing I do. And so thanks for bearing with me through this intro. I'll try to as these videos progress, I'll try to make them go quicker. I'm learning how to edit a little bit on something called KineMaster, I think. So pretty basic stuff. So I'm not a videographer or video maker, nothing. So bear with me, man. This is pretty raw, pretty amateur. But anyway, that's the plan, is to try to increase the sensitivity of this bass driver in this cabinet and get it up to the point where this one is, or at least close. Because even if I got close, it would be better. It really sounds clean with that one. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna pause the video, do a little bit of work, and then I'll get back to you, okay? Oh, I did want to show you some of these doodads on here too. It's always one more thing, right? One more thing with you, Todd. All right, so with the Zobel network, and that's what these series of videos is all about anyway, is Zobel network, right? So like with this tweeter, what I'm going to try to do is attenuate it by putting a resistor in series with it. This is a 20 watt resistor. It's a 30 watt tweeter. I'd be surprised if 30 watts ever gets to that tweeter, especially going through the crossover and everything. So I'm not too awful worried about a 20 watt resistor on there. Not the greatest. You should have a much more, your resistor should have a greater capacity for current than just 20 watts. But this is what I've got. So that's what you gotta work with what you got, right? So basically this will go in series. And then the Zobel network, and this was calculated off of actually this other tweeter that I've been playing with, which is a Dayton Classic Silk Dome. And it does sound nice, for sure. It sounds nice. This is a tweeter that's made by GRS. And unfortunately, the only advertised specs on it was the impedance or the resistance. So anyway, I think we'll get close with these. And essentially what's going to happen is this is going to bridge. It's going to bridge that, okay? Like so. It's not going to look like that, obviously, once I get it all soldered up. Probably be all boogered up and ugly like that one, but it's, or I might even stick it down inside the cabinet there, somewhere in that board. But it's better to have it closer to the driver, so I'll try to get it closer to the driver. This was the Zobel network that was on the mid-range that I took off, actually. I had it on that mid-range and I did take that off because when I measured it, it didn't really make that big of a difference, which I was kind of surprised at. Okay, so that's it. Hang in there. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it and get some work done. All right, so I made pretty short work out of that. I've got the longer bass reflex port in here now. Got the woofer mounted back in there. And right now that's what's playing, is just this speaker. And we'll be running our frequency sweeps here in a minute. You always got to start with a little bit of intro though, right? See what it sounds like. close-up tour here.
No place on earth that I'd rather be. Just show me some bright lights, big cities for me. I'll visit the country, I'll sail on the sea, just to give me some bright lights.
Be wise, be smart, be... In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking, but now God knows anything goes. Good authors too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words...
All right, so a pretty clear sound on that. Again, a little bit lacking on the low end, so that's the issue there. I'm going to pause this real quick just for a second so you can hear the same music on the other speaker, okay? Which is this guy. A little bit different character. Now it sounds funky because it's in stereo right now, not mono. And it's just playing over one speaker.
Yes, sir, that's my baby. No, sir, don't.
Now I've got both of them going.
When we reach the preacher, I'll say, with feeling, yes, sir, that's my baby.
All right, so I'm all set up here. I've got speaker set up 3 feet away from the computer. We're just using the microphone on the computer, and we'll see how it does from just in an open room. See how that bass response is on here. So we're gonna turn to our old buddy Dr. Mix and see what this thing does with this longer port in it and the Zobel network. And we'll use our reference negative 15 dB, and I love it when this thing crashes. All right, let's try this again. Spectroid.
Welcome to Dr. Mix. This is a signal test for you. Enjoy.
This is our crossover point, which is about 800.
If you want to know more about our mixing and mastering services, please visit us on drmix.com.
This is the area that we're talking about. The port is going to make the biggest difference. And it looks like we're almost at negative 30 at roughly, say, 80 hertz. And then we're down by 10 dB at 40. So what I was really hoping to do is get that up a little bit. But it is slightly encouraging that this is so flat. You know, for a big woofer, for a 15-inch woofer on up to 800 hertz, that's not bad. That's that Zobel network doing that. Before that Zobel network, it was quite a bit more wonky. Next, I'm going to plug in a unidirectional mic and see what we're getting real close to that driver. So I got my $15 Amazon unidirectional mic. Nothing but the best, right? I'm going to try to get this set up nice and close to the woofer just to see what we're doing. Now this is going to measure more the woofer than it will the port. Okay. So this is right in there by the woofer. I mean, it's sitting right in front of it. And so we've got, and this mic goes down to 30 hertz. So that's its bottom line is 30 hertz. But at that 30 hertz mark, what are we down? Oh, roughly. We're still plus minus, say 10 dB. Which, again, I think personally, from my experience, that's not too awful bad for measuring a speaker just in a plain old bedroom with cheap equipment, right? So working with what we have here, and that's what we wound up with. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to measure the frequency at that port just to see what that port tuning frequency might be. Let's try it. Let's try it something like that, huh? Could be worse. It'll give us some idea. Ready, Dr. Mix?
Hi, welcome to Dr. Mix. This is a signal test for you. Enjoy.
Well, I might be in the ballpark. I was guessing 30 hertz on it, and it looks like that's 30 hertz is right here. So that's 29 hertz right there, 30 hertz. So it's actually not doing too bad. Does it have enough kick, enough punch for me? I don't know. Let's do one more measurement. We'll do this one with the unidirectional mic set a little bit kind of on center with the speaker. And I'll just point this guy. I'll take the whole sweep this time. This is just kind of pointed, right now, just so you can see. It's about right in line with that mid-range. So it should be picking up at least that much. I mean, we're only, what, 2 feet away?
Hi, welcome to Dr. Mix. This is a signal test for you. Enjoy.
All right, I'm going to join you a little close up here. So what we got here, See, this is the biggest thing I'm talking about. Our mid-range and treble jump up. Now, ideally, I bring the bass up. That's what I'm trying to do. So whether or not that really helped or not, I'm not sure. It definitely has a fairly smooth bass response. And it goes low enough. Let's try this one more time from this regular Omni mic that's on the HP Chromebook. And let's see how we wind up with that. Okay. I think that about sums it up. So basically this is the area that I'm really trying to work on, is say the 30 to 100 hertz. I'd really like to get that up. So I think I'm gonna resort to a couple different things here. One is that we could test the theory of more stuffing equals more bass. We could do that. We could also try to remove some of the insulation and see what happens. So I guess it'd be 6 to 1/2 dozen the other. Which one is easier? I could probably start by taking a little out, just see what happens when I do that. So it may increase the, the standing waves inside a little bit, but honestly, that insulation I put in there it's more dense than polyfill out of a bag. It's because it's in a sheet form, so it may be actually sucking up volume. I'm not sure, as well as making the woofer quieter. So we'll try that first. The other option is, which I really hate to do it, but especially with the 3-way crossover, but a lot of the older speakers, what they used to do is just run that woofer direct, so it just rolled off naturally, and then they would basically cross over these two. So when you get anything out of the way, it's going to improve the output of that. All right, so here's the plan. Is I'm going to take out a lot of this stuffing that's in here and just leave it like a lined, so that all the walls inside are lined. Any of this extra padding, I'm going to eliminate. All right, so basically, this is what I've removed from there. Probably, maybe 1/2 pound or 1 pound of fill. The inside doesn't look as pretty right now because I had that stapled in there, but you can see that it's still lined. I've got a little kind of rolled up wad underneath here, beneath this thing, just to eliminate any kind of resonance that might be from there. But as far as the rest of it goes, I pretty much opened up that cavity in there. So we'll put the woofer back in there and see what that changes our bass response any. All right, we're all set up here. I've got all that stuffing removed. Maybe it was over damped, I'm not sure. And let's rerun this sweep and see where we're at. I'm gonna leave our last bass line up here for comparison. So we're still 3 feet away from the computer. And That's 10 dB.
Hi, welcome to Dr. Mix. This is a signal test for you. Enjoy.
Okay. All right, so what did we learn here? Anything? Oddly enough, I expected it to have a little bit more bass down in that region. But what it did instead, I think, is cleaned up this area just a tad, which is very weird. One last check. We'll go ahead and put the microphone, unidirectional microphone, in front of the woofer and see what, if any, effect it had on just the woofer response. I just stopped it there because this is our crossover point. So we've got, it looks like it peaked at 82 hertz on the bottom end. And we're down, let's see, that was at about negative 24. And then we're negative 34 at 35 hertz. And like I say, that mic is only supposed to be rated down to 30 hertz, so it might be missing a little bit on the tail end there. But this part through here got cleaned up. That's pretty amazing. That I did not expect to see. And then in here, 750, that's our crossover point. So we get a little bit wonky there. So, I don't know. I'm encouraged by it. I think that about wraps up my my messing around with the changing up the bass in this right now. I may decide to do a little bit more, but for right now, that's pretty much it. So on that note, yeah, be quiet, Dr. Mix. We'll try to play, let's see. See what the speaker sounds like. It's at the same negative dB, 10 dB.
Somewhere deep inside, something's got a hold on you, and it's pushing me aside. See it stretch on forever. I know I'm That's why I tell you, you'd better be home soon. Stripping back the coats of lies and deception, back to nothingness, like a week in the desert. I know I'm right for the first time in my life. That's why I tell you, you'd better be home soon. So don't Every time I think of you, I feel shot right through with a bolt of blue. It's no problem of mine, but it's a problem of mine. Living a life that I can't leave behind. There's no sense in telling me the wisdom of a fool won't set you free, but that's the way that it goes, and it's what nobody knows.
Let's run one full frequency.
If you want to know more about our mixing and mastering services, please visit us on drmix.com. See you later.
All right. And I guess just out of curiosity, maybe you're curious too. I want to see what this thing does with this unidirectional mic. If I just hold it.
Hi, welcome to Dr. Mix. This is a signal test for you. Enjoy. If you want to know more about our mixing and mastering services, please visit us on drmix.com. See you later.
Speak softly, laugh and hold me warm against your heart. I feel your words, the tender trembling moments start. We're in the world, our very own, sharing a love that only few have ever known. White-colored days warmed by the sun, the velvet night when we are one. Speak softly, love, so no. smile.
One thing I've been doing while I've been listening to these guys.
The look of